This is a video on my journey to enlightenment. Thank you for joining me. My life has been a process of letting go of nearly everything, without which I would have become attached and never achieved enlightenment. I wasn't doing this intentionally. I was doing it from a soul level. I was doing it to navigate my way in the world and to find my truth and to follow my heart and to honor myself. But a lot of it just had to do with being attached. And if I didn't intentionally give up things, I have found that they just went away. They were intentionally taken from me, or I lost them. Things as basic as my health. My personality I lost in a traumatic incident I was in. My dearest friends growing up died. My closest allies I've lost in the process. Part of this process also has been an unraveling of my spiritual nature and finding that I have gifts to offer that are pretty extensive as far as spirituality is concerned. And since this enlightenment is new, it is a process of discovering who this woman is that's been hidden all these years, that I have been trying to find, that I have been getting to the point of discovering. In this world, we are at constant battle with our spiritual nature. And what is best for us is often what is hardest for us. We must intentionally do the difficult things to find our spirituality. And I found I had a special relationship with God as a child, but I still had to, it's just natural for us to pick up on things of our environment here and to be tainted in ways, especially as children, when, there's just so much false information in the world that, our environment will affect that until we know better. And unfortunately, this happens in the churches. This happens with lineages that have been passed down for centuries, and habits of mankind that we still are affected by today. Finding our spiritual nature breaks those things. It is the only thing that can break those things, because we are spiritual beings. So part of my process of spirituality was turning away from God at one point and discovering and I had to find my way back. And I really wanted to at one point, because I get a lot from the Lord, but I get a lot now from all spirituality. I have an expansive view, without which I would still have a divided mind, and I wouldn't be able to grasp the concept of enlightenment at any level. And so part of my way of finding my way back to where I am today was, I took a year to read the whole Bible. And then I actually hit my low finally. It was in that deep seeking that I hit a point where I had to really, truly learn how to get on solid ground. And that too has been a process of letting go. I've seen myself change so much. Like, there was a period, it was like every 6 months, it felt like I was a different person. And I was growing and I was changing, and, I had to go back and forth to find my medium and to find the place that felt safe to me and that was sacred. And that was my true calling. So my career also has had a part in this, because it is about my true calling. And I have made great sacrifices for my development in that area, for following my calling. I was using all my money. I sold my car at one point so I could write my first book. Like true sacrifices. I could have been working a really nice job. Instead, I was waitressing so I could, spend time, and I wasn't, I could do something, I could do my stuff on the side of that. I could be around people in the waitressing, and then I could do my stuff outside that. I used waitressing money to go, to get involved in the recording academy, to fly to music things across the United States. I saved, and I lived a very frugal life. I lived in a studio apartment, the lesson in that is sacrifice. Without true sacrifice, we will not come to a place of peace in our life. The sacrifices each of us need to make are going to be different depending on what our callings are. And our callings are found, in our heart, in our mind, in our dreams. Through this process of giving up, I have gained a lot of it back. It's become a concern to me to not be led by material concerns. I wish more people did this. I don't have guides right now on any physical sense. The information will probably be brought to me some way or another. But what I'm feeling in my heart is that, yes, of course money is important to me. Yes, of course I love nice things and beautiful things and money and all that stuff. Yes, it's great. The problem for my truth is that I don't want to go out in the world to get money. Since I've become enlightened, I have changed from a self-motivated perspective to a world-motivated perspective. I want to be out in the world doing my mission. And it is my belief that by doing my mission, and one of the biggest problems for me right now is I'm still in the process of putting all these pieces together, and figuring out how I'm intended to serve. It's a daily seeking and praying and connecting to the world in the ways that I'm called, that is allowing me to discover ideas. And I don't think any of the ideas that I've had have been against what I actually will probably do someday, but just right now, I'm very much in an in-between place. And so I'm just trusting, you know, I'm not just coming up with this out of the dark. My spirituality, my spiritual guides, my prayers have gotten me this far. And so in my prayers and in my spiritual understandings right now, I am being led to focus on caring for myself, nurturing my soul, and doing small steps to help me discover what my mission is. And in turn, Spirit has promised to me that I will be financially provided for. This is so against everything I see in my environment right now. But I know it's the right thing. And I know that this is part of my process right now, is just to trust this and to do something different and, get different results, actually get to a place that makes a significant difference in the lives of others. See, I think when I say that I'm not motivated by money, it puts a lot of fear in people. And it's sad. It's sad because if you break that down, you see that so many people in our world feel stuck and trapped by the material compulsion in their lives. And I have been breaking away from that for a really long time. So in all senses, this is a logical next step for me, is to take a bigger stance like this. I don't think a lot of people realize that I have been so blessed precisely because I've been following my mission on the level that I could at that time. And I did not do it for money. I did it out of passion. I did it because I felt I could make a difference by doing these things. It still was more self-motivated at those times though. My ego hadn't been broken down, and I got a lot during those times when people would tell me I was really good. I didn't have the self-respect and the self-honor to stand in my own. I was very vulnerable to the whimsies of what other people felt about it. And that also comes to the fact when there's been criticism of me, it's made me question things at some time, and it's been very difficult for me to deal with things like that. It's like, wow, they don't see my value, because I was dependent on that. And so when people didn't see my value, it ripped me a little bit, and it hurt my heart, which can't happen in my state right now. I'm not only not dependent on people's praise of me, but also their disapproval of me, because I've come farther down the path to a place of honoring myself on my own. And, of course, it's fantastic when people can see my value and see, the fantastic amount of gifts that I have to offer. I absolutely think that's wonderful because they're getting something out of it. So it's about that person, not me. And when it comes to disapproval, my eyes are opening as far as the hurt in people that causes that, and the pain that people are living in, and the lies that keep them comfortable, that cause them to do something like that. Because at the same time, that's not about me either. And it's so nice to look at things like that. So I talked about where my career has been so far and my spiritual development. Another thing that I felt called to mention in this talk was we feel it's significant to mention I had a near obsession with the deadly sins at one point. And on the opposing side, I've also had obsessions with prayers at times. Like, I've really broken them down and discovered them. You know, like one part of my first album, when I was really struggling with my spirituality, I wrote a song on piano that's on my first album, Fresh Blood, called Come to Me, Father. And the reason why I called it Come to Me, Father is because I know in spirituality, we're supposed to reach out to God. But I was in such a state of despair, and it was like praying from hell. There's no better way to say it, that I was in a place where it was like my prayers were like not going anywhere. And you can feel when that's happening. It can be for a lot of different reasons. So I changed, instead of reaching out to him, I wrote a song to pray a different prayer, and it was called Come to Me, Father, and it was about not being able to reach him and asking him to reach me. And it was an organic process that happened through my breakdown and my build up again in life. People came into my life for purposes, with just little tidbits of ideas that I was willing to follow, and it has been very beneficial for me. Obviously. Obviously. So I would say that prayer was answered. And just to go off on the side a little bit, my album Fresh Blood was very much a dark prayer. It was, like one of the songs is Reverse This Curse. I literally needed a 360 change in my life. So going on to the deadly sins from that, I really took some time in my life, and because I was detaching from money and following my purpose, you know, while I was living in dark days, I was not only trying to protect what was left of myself and to gain my ground to where I am today, but I was also trying to protect myself from the world because I didn't have a good reference point at that time. So even though I knew I had all these gifts and I was working on them, it was very much in the closet. It was very much amongst my circle. It was very much on the down low. I could have never taken a public position like I can today. And so what that did was it gave me a lot of time. I got to really discover my dark side. And there's something to be said about that for where I am today. Because if we don't know what we're capable on the dark side, trust me, it's still there, but it's hidden. And a lot of people most people, it's fair to say, have not been able to discover that. Their life just hasn't been hard enough. And I'm sorry if that's offensive to you. I don't mean it offensively. I know we get the challenges that we're capable of handling. But my problems were so bad just on the sense of total destruction, that I had to explore these things. It was not a choice I made. It was me really trying to stand up to the circumstances I was placed in. And by standing up to them, it brought out my dark side. So on the opposing side, with not a lot of people not having the opportunity to do that, they don't have the opportunity to work through those things. They remain hidden. You might hear about something every once in a while where it's like, this person just snapped. Okay, well, first of all, the person didn't just snap. It was building up in one way or another. A lot of relationships today, from the outset of them, are not all right, I have to say this. They're not close and intimate because of the fact of people not really being aware of their whole sense of self. We are all dark and light. All of us. We all are dark and light. It's just mainly how we learn to navigate through it. The more you understand your darkness, like I've had a chance to do, and work through it, all that's left is light. If that's what you choose, and that's what I've chosen. I intentionally took a choice, about 6 years ago, to follow the light. And, I couldn't make a really strong commitment at first because I was trying things out. But as I saw my spiritual life continue to reward me for showing up as I am, the more I wanted it. And the more I thought, this is my answer. This is where I belong. And to the point where I'm at now, where it's like, wow, I have a lot of spiritual gifts to discover in myself yet. I mean, I'm aware of a lot of them, but there's just, it's like I'm in spiritual candy land. I mean, it's super cool. So going back to the deadly sins, I got off on a little tangent there. Going back to the deadly sins. The deadly sins are good bench points of the way evil causes. It's the dark and light, opposing dark and light I was talking about. It's how the darkness can consume you and destroy you. Okay, so in the movie The Seven Deadly Sins, obviously this guy went after people who he felt like, played out the deadly sins, which is weird. Yes, that movie's weird, but that was actually my trigger that made me start looking at these deadly sins, because, it does have to do with our darkness. And the way they play out. And in the very real sense of things, some psychopath might not come and kill you for it, but you are dead. You are dead. And I don't remember the process of like discovering all of the ways that the deadly sins were active in my life, but there was a process of it. And I think at one time I came up with another one where I was like, oh, this should be one of the deadly sins. And actually right now I could think of another one that is a deadly sin, but there's just like a lot, especially today, with the level of unawareness of people on their compulsions and their ties that aren't serving them in a good way. This is why a lot of people have to be medicated. And I'm going to rephrase that and say this is why a lot of people either choose to be medicated or are forced medications. And what I mean by that is that medications are a way of numbing us to our pain. So it isn't so much that something has caused us pain. It's that our lives and our choices in reacting that is causing us pain, and we need to we as a culture are really high on medicating that right now, and pretending like the problem's fixed, which is a lie. I'm calling it out. It's a lie. But anyways, the whole 7 deadly sins thing is very fascinating to me, because these are popular ways of destroying ourselves. And what is one of them? Greed. Greed keeps popping up in my head. Greed, 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 greed. Okay, what is one of them? Greed. An obsession for money. And it's so sad on the ways that this plays out. This plays out with not only the rich, but the poor too. And the middle class and the lower class, and the blue collar workers. Like, everyone's obsessed with money. Everyone is obsessed with money. And the funny thing about it that people don't understand is money is a gift. Money isn't something we earn by giving ourselves away, because it will not fill us. Money should be received by giving what we have to offer. And the world, the recipients of what we have to offer, should be so honored by it that they would gift us with money. And this is part of my life. I live my life this way. I've been living my life this way. You know, if something gives value to the world that I like, I gift it. I don't care if I'm a billionaire or whatever. Like, that's part of money, is the blessing. So I channeled past lives for a period, and one that is very prominent in my life right now, that has significant parallels, but in a different way, because my reference point is different. But one of the parts of this past life story was the creation of money, and how it was created because someone was doing something for someone else and it was appreciated, so they were given money. And then this money thing with those people started to become very popular. And like in indigenous cultures, it's bartering. It's like, hey, I've got something to give, you've got something to give. And it saddens me that we're kind of away from that right now, because it overcomplicates money and it gives it more power than it deserves. Money is a way of exchange. It's a way of appreciating something. It's a gift. It isn't something we should be like, hey, I need $1 million this year. You can say, hey, I'd like $1 million this year. It just feels like that would feel good, Totally different. Totally different. Man, I could talk about this like literally so long. So I don't want to extend this video too much over the issue of money. It's a big thought thing going on in my life right now. Because I'm learning to operate in a quite significant new way, and I don't have a specific plan. I'm really interested to see how this goes, but it essentially has been happening for a while. It's just that I haven't been quite as far along in my progress as I am right now. So yeah, it's quite, the circumstances are quite different, and I'm very interested to see how this all plays out. But I trust the process completely, and I know that whatever ways I'm guided will be attuned to where I need to go. And there could be larger meanings of this motivation in my life, which likely there are. But there's just a lot of different things that I'm going to get from this new discovery of mine. And that really is about more of the process I'm on right now, and it being so, well, I guess I would just have to say strange. Very strange. I really think I've spoken enough about my journey to get here and a little bit about where I'm at right now. And it's uncomfortable for me to do this. I'm not gonna lie. I'm really putting myself out there. I just ask that my space be honored. I know I honor my journey, and I can see that I'm on a sacred journey that has not always been easy. It's been one of the most difficult, to imagine. But because of that, it's given me an opportunity to really learn things in a new way that opposes the cultural standpoint. And with all of the time that I had in those years of dark days, I did so much reading. I don't even know how many business books I read, spirituality, religion, love, not religion, psychology. Mainly I've been working on curing myself of diseases that I was labeled with, by doctors. And I'm very humble, and I've also been very concerned about the moves I've had to make, which have never been easy. But I have come a long way. Like, I am a success story. I'm gifted far beyond my ability to show has been in this process. And I know that I'm going to be used in a larger way for all of mankind. And if I have anything, I cannot afford to, I don't know, I guess, I don't feel threatened by anything. I'm that strong now. And if anything, I have something to teach people. And I have life to offer. in a multitude of ways, not through my creativity, my writing, my music, my speaking, my life lessons, my wisdom. And we hope, I hope, that I will find love very soon, and it will be a healthy relationship for my life. And I think we need more models of good love in our culture. Strong, good love, honest, pure, higher love. Things to look up to and attain to. Things that make people dream and explore things they may have never considered. And it's taken my sacrifices in life to get this far. And so I'm excited. I'm excited about this journey, and I'm excited to see where my new state of mind and the new me takes me. Thank you so much for listening to this broadcast today. I appreciate the opportunity to share it with you, and I appreciate you.